Hello and welcome to an Easter special. Now, actually, I say Easter special. It just happens that this is being released on Easter bank holiday, but nevertheless, it's a very, very special Easter special, Easter special episode. Isn't that right, Chris?
Yeah, say special one more time and so help me God.
Easter special. And we've put it together with sticky back plastic just for you.
We have, absolutely. Oh, it's a cracker. Yeah, I really enjoyed this chat. What a lovely fella. But we'll get onto that in a minute.
Yes, absolutely. Now, really important stuff. Before I ask you a sort of slightly podcast-related question, Christopher has got some important news for us. And listeners, please help us out. And it's not really us at all, as you'll find out. We need your help for our Ukrainian friends. So tell us the news, Chris.
Yeah, so we don't bang on about reviews and liking us that much. We do a little bit, tiny little bit, but we leave it until the end of the podcast. You know, we keep
Please like Chris. Please like Chris.
No, the reason we say, can you review and give us a like, is that it raises our profile on the podcast platforms where you'll find us and where other people will find us, so that it makes it easier for other new listeners to find the podcast. And it's all lovely. It doesn't mean that we get money. It means that more people listen to the podcast, which is, there's no point us we might as well just be sitting in a garage shouting at the walls otherwise. So let's just get more people to listen to the podcast. That would be good.
Isn't that what we do?
Oh yeah. Is this on? Is this thing on?
This is working, I think.
Yeah. So you may have heard of Podchaser, and this is one of the platforms where you can find podcasts, and podchaser.com. We are on podchaser.com. You can find us there. Now, for the month of April, if you go onto podchaser.com and then search for the Gig Stories podcast, if you click on that, then you will find our podcast and all our episodes are there. If you leave a review and I don't know how many stars, I mean, it's out of 5. You're there anyway, so you might as well just leave 5 stars. If you leave that review, and then podchaser.com will donate 50 cents to the World Central Kitchen. And also in the month of April, Alitu, A-L-I-T-U, the podcast maker, so they're a host, they will match that. So basically, any review you leave will mean $1 to World Central Kitchen. So World Central Kitchen is, I'm going to read this so that I don't make a mistake and get it wrong. So it's first. So what it says on the website here, World Central Kitchen is first to the front lines, providing meals in response to humanitarian, climate, and community crises. We build resilient food systems with locally led solutions. So they've set up this initiative called Chefs for Ukraine. So that's hashtag chefs, then the number 4, and then Ukraine. And so again, what it says here on the website, working at a 24-hour pedestrian border crossing in southern Poland, World Central Kitchen began serving hot, nourishing meals within hours of the initial invasion, and are now serving round-the-clock dishes at 8 border crossings across the country. And additionally, they're supporting local restaurants preparing meals in 12 Ukrainian cities, including in Odessa, Lviv, Kyiv, and also World Central Kitchen teams are also on the ground serving thousands of meals every day in Romania, Moldova, and Hungary. So I think you'll agree that this is a win-win for everyone. Podchaser gets people going to their website. We get more people reviewing and raising the profile of the podcast. But most importantly, it's actual money going to this actual amazing initiative, which is providing hot meals for largely people who are fleeing Ukraine or who are unable to flee and need to eat, basically. So if you go to podchaser.com, search for the Gig Stories podcast, all separate words, because it's a little bit pernickety about how you search for it. The Gig Stories podcast, all separate words, and then give us a quick review and 5 stars. You give us 2 stars, but come on, 5 stars.
5, please.
And that's actual money to a really fantastic initiative, a really practical response to what's going on across in Ukraine. So, yeah.
And Chris, will we be able to put a link to that on this webpage?
I will do everything. I'm going to post on Facebook. I'm going to post on Twitter. I will put a link on our website, and and I'll put it at the bottom of the details for this podcast as well. So I'll put all the links and the hashtags down there as well. So just get on it. It blew my mind yesterday.
It was really,
that is amazing.
Yeah, it really is brilliant, and that's all we need is for you to go on and review. Simple as that.
That's it.
I'm seeing a loophole here, Chris.
Go on.
If our friends go on and review us, could they go on and review other podcasts?
They could very well go and review other podcasts. Yeah.
Hey, listeners, go on, press play on some podcasts that you like the look of, have a listen, and rate them and review them, because that is going to help even more, isn't it? I've just thought about that.
But do us
Let's
first.
all do us first. Give us 5 stars. Give the others a lovely round of applause.
And give Chris Hawkins 3 stars. Chris Hawkins needs your 3 stars.
Hey, give Chris 6. Give him 6
he's a
out of those 5 stars.
Yeah, he's a big fan of 5-star as well. I know for a fact.
Yeah, rain or shine, he's always there.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
But I double check. I had to double check, and I went on a live chat with Alitu, the podcast maker, just to double check that it was legit, and they were like, "Yep, this is absolutely legit. This is
real.
This is what we're doing." So
come on, listeners, fill your boots and let's help our Ukrainian friends. Bless them. So I was driving down to Cardiff for Easter. Had a really long journey, and I had my turn of DJing on the Spotify.
Oh God, help them!
What ifs? What ifs? Oh, and let me just tell you something that is now a thing within my family, and only you regular listeners will get this one. So whenever we go anywhere now, and it was confirmed to me yesterday, we stopped at the services, and just as we drive away from the services, all my family go, "Paul, mwah, love you," and carry on. They all did it yesterday, and I just went, "What?" and then clicked. Yeah, every time we go to services, they take the mick out of me and my chance meeting with Paul Weller in the service station.
I love that.
All of them go, "Paul, mwah, love you."
I thought you were going to say that you insisted on listening to an episode of your own podcast on a journey. I was going to say, mate, you're a
Hey
wrong.
guys, you've got to listen to this podcast. It is so good.
I am hilarious.
There's even a Scottish guy in it. There's a Scottish guy. He's so cute. So anyway, I thought, I'm on the Spotify, and one of my very best friends in all the world, James, used to be in a band that back in Cardiff in the early
60s.
Yes, a few years ago. And they were brilliant. Absolutely love them. And they came up on Spotify. I found them on Spotify because they'd released a single on a record label called Booby Trap.
Well, give them a shout out. What are they called?
Well, they go under 2 names, Tommy and the Chauffeur and Small Victories.
Okay.
And that record label was a Cardiff label owned by Booby Trap Baz and Hugh Stevens from, Radio. Wales' finest, Hugh Stevens.
Radio's own.
Exactly. So they've put them on Spotify. But I was listening to it and it took me right back. And I listen to James's band quite a lot because I genuinely think they are just the greatest band that you've never heard of, which then got me thinking, they're also the greatest band that you never saw live. So whether you answer it now, Chris, or in the next podcast, I'm going to let you decide. So you can either have a think, or we're just going to move straight on to this this week's guest. But the best band you never saw live was Small Victories. And Tommy and the Chauffeur when they were called Tommy and the Chauffeur. They were just incredible. My friend James is so talented. He's got a wonderful voice and he's a guitarist. They then had a lead singer who was also called James, who was hell of a character. He's just incredible. I love him so much. Great front man. They had a DJ that would be doing live scratching, fantastic rhythm section, and they were just absolutely brilliant. So I want to know, who's the best band that I've never seen live?
So it'd be basically a band that's only known to me or to
a handful of you. I mean, because most of Cardiff on the music scene at the time knew Tommy and the Chauffeur and Small Victories, but that's a limited.
Do you know what? This is an open goal, really. It's an absolute open goal. I've got cassettes of my old band Nimbus. We've talked about Nimbus in the past. Now, honestly, I'm not doing my job if I don't try and get those converted to digital and then play you some of that, because honestly, we were great. So yeah, easy answer, mate. Nimbus. Bosh. Done.
And so, Alex, the answer is
me.
Mine.
Yeah.
Oh, listener. Oh God.
And the thing is, I haven't heard them. I haven't heard us for a long, long time, and I might listen back and go, actually, no, it's a different band. Yeah.
Right.
We were really a live band, not a recorded band.
Listener, something is going to happen in the coming episodes. I can't promise when. We're going to find either live footage or we're going to get you links to hear. Because actually, I want to hear Chris's band's Nimbus. And I want to know exactly why they didn't headline the Pyramid stage at Glastonbury.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Maybe we'll never know.
Exactly.
Right.
So let's move on to this week's homemade DIY guest. It's exciting. We bring you some guests, man. And today we're bringing you number 38.
Number 38.
Not number 38 guest on the Gig Stories podcast. Oh no. Number 38, Blue Peter presenter. We've brought you an actual, real-life Blue Peter presenter. I mean, what more do they want, Chris?
Exactly. Well, you know him. You've known him for ages, and I just met him for the first time. And what a lovely guy! Really, yeah, just a real sweetheart. And I really enjoyed.
I've only known him for a couple of years. Let's not.
Oh, right, okay. You don't go.
None of this is on me.
Right,
I got nothing to do with the kids. I mean,
so a couple of things before we start the episode. Firstly, is that we caught up with Richie on his day off. Thank you, mate. He came in his flip flops, and we chatted. Well, we do mention that in the episode. But we met up with him in Media City, and essentially in a corridor. Really, wasn't it?
A mezzanine
where cleaners and other staff were kind of pushing trolleys and squeaking doors and all that kind of stuff. So there are,
but also joining in.
Yeah,
they were also joining in the podcast, which was really quite fun.
That was excellent. So there's that. So there's a couple of little squeaks and little bands, but actually the recording, it was good doing it in person. I have to say, really enjoyed doing it in person rather than on a screen.
Scream. And it was great to be together, and it was great to speak to Richie. And I knew it would be different with Richie as well, because he's substantially younger than Chris and just a little bit younger than me. Happy birthday boy.
Thank you very much.
And I know that his musical taste has very much been in sort of R&B, soul, hip-hop. So I knew that would be a bit of an education for us. So I was looking forward to it and hearing his gig experiences. So,
and then there was another thing that I wanted to bring up as well. So this podcast, we try and keep it reasonably clean. You know, we tend to veer away from the curse words, from the caca mouths, and sometimes it's absolutely impossible. But we are not.
Keep swearing in Welsh.
We are
swearing in Welsh.
Is caca a Welsh swear word? Okay. Wow, never knew that. But basically,
everyone Welsh is turned off now.
Yeah. So we tend to just let a bit of swearing go, and we don't bleep anything. Now, there are a couple of bleeps in this one, and this is not because we were all lads, way, all that kind of. And Richie, you'll quickly realize he's not Sean Ryder. Do you know what I mean? We're not speaking to somebody who's just got a filthy mouth. He might have a filthy mouse, but not a filthy mouth. But basically, as with Andy Day's episode, we're aware that because Richie is on CBBC, and there might be some younger listeners tuning into this episode. So if there are any bleeps, there've been a couple of little swears there, but we thought we'll just we'll protect you all. And so there are a couple of little bleeps, but that's why. It's not because it's any filthier than any of the other episodes, which aren't filthy, although listen to Matt Fraser's.
There are a few occasions where we said bum, knickers,
bogey,
bloody bogey. Yeah.
I'm going to have to bleep that as well now. You idiot.
But we think you'll enjoy it, and it's a good one. Thank you so much, Richie. Speaking to a Blue Peter presenter, absolutely brilliant. I mean, where do we go next from this, Chris? I'm just not sure. The One Show.
Anyway, here is number 38, episode 36. It's Richie Driss.
The Driss. Today we welcome journalist, presenter, writer, producer, documentary maker, almost goalkeeper, top sneaker wearing. He's number 38. It's my Algerian brother from another mother, Richie Driss.
I will say that was a brilliant intro, but you are incorrect. I am not wearing any sneakers today.
No.
Listener, he's just pulled up. Now, he is, let's just highlight how old Chris and I are. What is that he's just pulled up?
It's a sandal.
Yeah, exactly. It's a sandal, it's a flip-flop.
Flip-flop. Yeah.
Flip-flop, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a slider. Isn't it?
Well, yeah.
A slider?
A slider. That's what the young kids call them,
I've
mate.
never heard
a
of a slider.
No, see, when I think of sliders, I think of burgers.
No,
mini burgers.
Yeah.
You go to a restaurant, you get a selection of mini burgers. Because I'm really indecisive when it comes to food. So, if I go to a restaurant and they ever offer multiple versions of something similar, like a multiple sort of burger, they're referred to as sliders. I don't know why. It makes no sense to me.
That's only in the posh section of Marks and Spencer's food slider. Already, Driss is showing us that he just
he's a celebrity.
Evolves, exactly. Evolves in different places. Now, I'm just going to go back to number 38.
Yes.
Number 38.
Yes.
For those that don't know, what is that, Richie Driss? What does the number 38 mean to you, brother?
Not my age, just yet. It's in reference to my my presenter number when it comes to the longest running children's TV show in the world, Blue Peter.
Oh my god!
Well, on the way here, we
gosh.
were talking about our favourite presenters, and so you were number 13.
Yeah, my favourite presenter.
Mine was number 11.
Yeah, mine was number 13.
Maybe Richie can try and guess.
Who's going to be 13? Now you know how old we both are.
Yeah.
So
Valerie Singleton.
Oh, come on.
Bloody hell, I'm not that old.
Yeah.
What? No.
Easy.
Close, though.
John Noakes. Surely John Noakes
No,
should be
he's
one
a
of
good.
them.
Yeah, he's a good
He's got,
shout.
yeah, I
one
mean,
of them.
good shout, but no.
Climbing Nelson's column unassisted, no ropes, nothing.
Mental. That
is
that
yeah.
ladder thing that he was climbing.
Yeah.
And can you imagine the health and safety these days for that?
It would never get signed off.
It
It would never get signed off.
It wouldn't.
I can because of the climbing challenge that I did, but I'm not going to talk about it now. Well, unless you want me to, but
Yeah, if you've not actually genuinely, if you've not seen Richie's climbing challenge on Blue Peter, it's actually crazy. And I don't care.
not compared to John Noakes climbing Nelson's column. Let's not get it twisted. Let's not hype it too much. But it was one of the scariest things I've
I'm
ever done.
sorry.
Did
It was
John Noakes not
unbelievable.
climb the Old Man of Hoy as well?
No, that's what Richie
That's me.
Driss has done.
But the fact that
Yeah,
you
but-
got me muddled up with John Noakes
No,
is
but John Noakes
that's made
did
my
it.
week.
Did you not?
No, he
Stop
did not.
it.
Rich, this is controversial.
No,
Richie
Richie
Driss. And I think John Noakes did it barefoot without any ropes.
I heard that he walked up it. He didn't even use his hands.
Yeah.
I heard this weekend we're celebrating the resurrection of John Noakes.
I think John Noakes did it.
No, he's actually Googling this now.
Yeah.
Richie.
I am.
He's panicking.
Yeah.
So
Because
in 1977.
let me tell you, listener, and a lot of you will know that currently I now work behind the camera and may know that I often floor manage Blue Peter. Oh my gosh, when those films were going out of Richie Driss, he was walking around the studio like he was the greatest thing in the world. And do you know what? I was for it because I would never do it, I can tell you.
No.
So I was actually cheering and backing my man. But the fact that John Noakes may or may not have done it, and we're going to find out, and we're going to stick this in the bit after the pod at the end, just to confirm.
I can't find anything.
Yeah, I can't find anything.
So
yeah.
there's this article
This is
from
brilliant.
The Guardian.
Yeah,
It says about climbing Nelson's column, but it doesn't say.
the old man of Hoy.
I'm not going to lie.
There's
I'm not going to
no-
read the whole article, lads, to
Yeah.
find out that a Blue
We're
Peter
go-
presenter
right.
We're
before
gonna
me
find
did something
out
that I
after.
did.
Yeah.
But
We'll
back
find
to
You don't have to. It's fine.
No, this is
Ignorance is bliss.
I know. I like a bit of jeopardy
I like
in a podcast, definitely.
No, my favourite, and it's intrinsically linked with being a heterosexual prepubescent male, Janet Ellis.
Sure.
Number 13, Janet Ellis. I absolutely fancied her.
Mhm.
Mother of Sophie Ellis Bextor.
Yes.
She was mine. Who was yours? Number 11.
Number 11. It was another female presenter.
Okay.
Yep.
What do you reckon? Earlier than Janet Ellis.
You're going to say it, and I'm going to be like,
I wouldn't have known either. I
No,
don't think I would have
I'm not
guessed.
going to lie. As much as I do have knowledge of the television show that I work in because it's a British institution, I couldn't name
backing
all
up there.
40 presenters.
Yeah.
Well, that's a disgrace. 'cause
In
I
order.
think that's what you should have done to get the job.
I know, right? Instead, I just had to hold a snake and do an assault course and make a
That
cannon.
wasn't a snake.
Sarah,
11?
Sarah Green.
Sarah Green.
Sure.
Sarah Green. But I think you were maybe thinking of her as going live.
Going live with Phil
and not-
Schofield.
And not
yeah.
Blue Peter, but no.
I forgot she was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just very quickly on that, because it's all right. Maybe less of a novelty to me, but for some people, Blue Peter is just like the most amazing thing ever. And even I, growing up, I would pretend. Me and my sister would pretend to play Blue Peter, and I always used to say
What?
that. Yeah. I used to say that in my interviews when I used to be on CBeebies, when they'd say, "Oh, have you always liked kids' TV?" Well, yeah, my sister would have a shoebox and a toilet roll stuck to it, which was the camera, and she'd be on cameras and I'd be the presenter, and then we'd swap. So yeah, I used to play Blue Peter growing up. So it was always, but when it gets down to the nitty gritty, how did the job come about? Was it actually quite a dry thing, or was there a big audition process? Did they come looking for you? How did it happen?
It's not one of those jobs that you can go sort of looking for on monster.com or jobs.co.uk. But I used to work at a website called joe.co.uk. I'll give you the abridged version of the story because it's a long old story, to be honest, and you've only got an hour, not a day. So I was working at a website called joe.co.uk, and I was a producer and presenter there, and I produced my own sort of series called Have a Go Joe, where a random bloke, me, would do really out there jobs, really unusual sort of jobs that your average person wouldn't do, hence Have a Go Joe. And I'd have a go at being a Royal Marines commando, and I'd have a go at doing stand-up comedy, which was terrifying.
Oh, you actually did that?
I did a 10-minute stand-up comedy gig. It's about like 10 hours.
Yeah. Oh my
That's
God.
painful because Richie is not funny.
No, absolutely not. So with that in mind...
I have total respect for that. I cannot imagine doing that.
This is the thing. With that in mind, I thought, right, as Alex just wonderfully, eloquently pointed out, I'm not funny.
No, he's hilarious.
I
interrupted me.
I thought, right, how do I play this? Because I had sort of I had a mentor, a guy called Kojo, who was on Britain's Got Talent. He used to be a Capital radio presenter.
Yeah.
So I know him, and so he sort of came in and taught me a thing or two and said, listen, the one thing that you do not want is silence. You need a reaction. Any reaction is better than nothing.
Okay.
any reaction, even if it's a heckle, because at least you got something to go off. Play off.
Good,
right. Whereas silence is boredom, and people get up to the bar and all that kind of thing. So I thought, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the piss out myself and tell stories about going on nights out at university, of which there are a couple. So
you wrote the 10 minutes yourself. You wrote the content.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is brave.
Yeah. Because if you don't, comedy is so subjective, as we all well and know. It's so subjective. So I just thought the easiest and broadest thing to do, as I said, is to just take the piss out of myself. Yeah. So that at least people will either laugh at me or feel sorry for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I get some sort of reaction out of
Going
that.
for the sympathy vote.
Yeah.
It's Johnny Vegas, isn't it? It's Johnny Vegas.
Well,
it's sort of classic. Classic.
I'm quite a self-deprecating person myself anyway.
I suppose Tommy Cooper went for that as well, and maybe even Les Dawson in a way. That kind of.
I mean, all these names, they're all mentioned alongside Richie Driss.
Yeah, the comparisons are natural. Yeah.
But stand-up comedy is my... Quantum Leap.
Yes.
That your ultimate fear
Nightmare.
is waking up in that situation.
Really?
Being a stand-up. Right, you're on now, and you've got to give 15 minutes of your best material. I don't have material. What are you on about?
Do you know what though? It's an interesting one because like that, and this is something that I've realised not only on Blue Peter but at Joe.co.uk as well, is that it plays into all the sort of different jobs that I did and sort of challenges that I've done on Blue Peter as well, play into all sorts of different sorts of fear. So the fear that you just mentioned, being on stage, you're not in any physical danger at all. The fear is judgment. That's it.
Yeah.
As opposed to swimming with sharks, where you are in a real, you're in a, to quote Kenny Loggins, danger zone. You know what I mean? So with that in mind, that's how I rationalise it. I would rather go on stage and try and tell jokes or entertain in some way, knowing that I won't get my hand or head bitten off, than go into a shark cage.
And there's the difference, because I would rather swim with a shark.
Really?
Than go on stage and...
But you're in genuine potential physical danger.
Yes, but I could then
punch a shark.
I could punch a shark.
Sure.
But
and you can't punch a 20-person audience.
No, I mean...
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I couldn't punch all of them.
Come on, Will Smith. Topical.
Yeah, wow.
How did it go down then? How did the 10 minutes go down?
Quite well, yeah.
Did it?
Yeah,
where was it?
It was in a South London stand-up comedy club in Croydon. I want to say Croydon.
Right.
And it was terrifying. And also the person who went on before me, bless them, so bad.
Really?
So bad that people were getting up, going to the bar, getting drinks for themselves because they were just like, no. And it got to the point where the people who organised it were flashing the light and saying, no.
Get off.
But you must have been in the wings going, yes.
It depends how you look at it. Because seeing how they reacted...
It happens to me?
Yeah, I didn't know how to react to that because I saw how they reacted to that person. Therefore, I was like, so it's either... I don't know whether that made my job even more difficult because they were frozen. They were the opposite of warmed up. Do you know what I mean? Like,
they were the opposite of warmed up. Yeah, they were frozen.
Yeah.
They ruined it. Wowzers.
So they weren't in... I'm not going to go as far as say they weren't in the mood to laugh. They were still, on a night out, having a few drinks and all that kind of thing. Yeah. But you never know, do you?
They were in the danger zone.
I was in the danger zone.
You were in the danger zone.
Yeah.
I
like what you did there, bringing it back to music.
Absolutely.
So, I'm looking forward to this because I'd be lying if I didn't say I know about a lot of your musical tastes. But I'm looking forward to this because it's going to be extra education for me and even a bit more for Chris because you have quite a hip-hop and R&B background. So this is going to be...
How dare you?
This is going to be...
What do you mean?
Says the 46-year-old listening to Charles Mingus on his birthday at home alone, which is great. What a perfect birthday. I love a bit of jazz with Mingus. But I think we're gonna hear some artists that we've probably never heard of today, Chris.
Vanilla Ice. I know hip-hop.
Right. It's been nice, gentlemen. See you later.
Richie, come back. Come back, Richie. All right, stop. Collaborate and listen.
Oh, no.
There we go.
And the door was wide open for that one, to be fair. Did you have that written down?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no. I actually, sadly, can do that whole tune.
It's quite sad.
All the lyrics.
That's quite
upsetting. And you choose not
every
to.
lyric.
you choose not.
Do you know what? I'm going to do it on the floor of Blue Peter next time. It's a few weeks.
Please do, because I don't have to
Absolutely.
necessarily be there.
Oh, I'll be making sure it's the day that you're in.
Okay.
Are you going to do the caterpillar as well?
Oh, definitely, and do the thing on my head.
The caterpillar, not the worm.
Yeah.
No.
Which
I
one's
don't want to see that again. So, when you were growing up, what part did music play in your life? Was there a lot of music in the house?
Huge.
Yeah?
Huge. My dad is... I think I do what I do. In fact, I don't think. I know that I do what I do 90% because of my dad.
Yeah.
He's huge on his music, huge on his films. I was raised in a household of movies and music. And obviously, because music is an audio-only thing, so to speak, that's the sort of thing you can get away from films a little bit more than music, as if I was even trying to. I wasn't trying to, but music sort of seeped into my consciousness a lot more and a lot easier than films. And I love my movies, and I'd sit and watch classic Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns and war films like Where Eagles Dare and Good, Bad and the Ugly, etc.
Was that with your dad?
With my dad's, yeah. But music was always playing. If movies weren't playing, music was. And music you could have on in the background. So whenever he was doing anything else, music would be on.
And what kind of styles was he into?
Soul, classic soul, Diana Ross and the Supremes, Lionel Richie, Billy Ocean, it's set Michael Jackson, etc. Not much of a Prince household, actually. Luther Vandross, Marvin Gaye. I think Four Tops, keep going. I think probably Marvin Gaye is probably my dad's favourite artist. Barry White, etc. I could go on and on and on and on. So that was always like my very first musical memory, actually, of any sort. Is the album cover to Michael Jackson Dangerous. I don't know if you remember it, but it's his eyes. And
That's my first gig. That's what I say on here. That's what I say on here.
The first gig you ever went to?
Yeah, it was the Dangerous Tour, Michael Jackson.
And I bet it cost like 70p.
It was 24 pounds, 25 pounds.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Which was, I remember, was really
that was
expensive.
a lot back in 1974.
So, that was my first musical memory of any sort, because it was actually quite, what would I have been? 3 years old. I think the album came out in 1990. Sorry.
What year were you born?
89.
Oh
I'm
my
just
gosh.
being a little bit sick in my mind.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh, that's your first. Because I thought that's a bit late, and I thought when
I
you
think
said
album
the
came out
first
1990 or 91.
image of Michael Jackson, I thought you were going to say Off the Wall or even Bad, which
Yeah.
was my first Jackson album that I bought.
No.
So did your mum sort of have a say in this music? Or
She was into that music as well.
Was it generally your dad?
I think my mum's favourite song, I could be wrong, Mum, if you're listening, I apologise, this is wrong, but this is the song I associate with you the most, is The Real Thing, You To Me Are Everything.
You to me are everything,
Yeah.
the sweetest song that I can sing, oh baby.
So similar. I say similar, same.
Yeah.
Same sort of.
Who was that?
The Real Thing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
The clue was there.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just going around the lyrics. Just thinking, who was that?
I bet you instantly went to Kool and the Gang.
No, totally.
Yeah.
I totally did.
Yeah.
Which is bad, but
Yeah.
I totally did. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. That's so funny. I did go to Kool and Gang.
Because I did as well.
Okay, so your dad sort of gave
Instilled that, yeah.
Was there much of a change in genre? Because it was quite. Sounds like it was quite soul R&B. Did he throw anything else in there? Was there a bit of rock, sort of pop maybe or anything? Or it was quite...
well, not on purpose. If you put on the radio, you put on Heart, for example, that kind of thing. If he wasn't listening to one of his many LPs, to this day I still say to my dad, please find your record collection because it would be worth a lot of money now.
Please tell me he knows where it is.
No, he doesn't. It's really, really heartbreaking because honestly, he
Oh,
had
no.
so many records.
Oh no, that genuinely.
yeah.
That really hurts me.
I guess
man.
there was other genres in there as well. Simply Red, bit of Simply Red. Although would he count as? I don't know what genre you'd put him in. To be honest,
I'd put that as
possibly
soul.
Yeah, soulful. Yeah.
I mean, certainly.
Well, he had a nickname, didn't he? I can't remember what it was, but it was something to do with soul. It's a hard one, isn't it? Because I think he had a really good voice, but oh man, Simply Red. It was. I think it was played so much, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching
so
Top of the
much.
Pops, the 1992 Top of the Pops. and
Stars.
the year
that album.
the Year of Stars.
Because that album, the Beautiful South album.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
It was just everywhere.
Right.
And I mean, it was. I seem to remember feeling it was a bit of a dark time for music.
I think it's because...
Well, would you call Simply Red back in the day the equivalent of, say, I don't know, Justin Bieber? Do you know what I mean?
It was mainstream. Everyone.
They
said there was this really bonkers stat, wasn't there, that album, the Stars album and the Beautiful South album that were out at sort of the same time, that like half the households in Britain owned that CD sort of thing.
Yeah, and
so it was just so mainstream.
I think about 10
CDs in 1992, are you sure?
Yeah, baby.
Sorry, I'm joking. Hey.
I think about 10 years later, it would have been like David Gray. You know, that's...
Back off on the David Gray.
No, I wasn't saying that in a derogatory way, but I can do if you want. But, you know, it just everywhere, you know.
Oh, totally.
If you know, hearing Stars or
I think it would be like Adele.
Babylon or...
Do you know? I think Adele. I think Adele
It's
would be
incredible.
the sort of... Oh no, Simply Red
Hugely
were
credible.
massive. Just not my thing. I think it came at you know, in my years when I was trying to, you know, be a bit punk and kick against whatever my sisters and mum were listening to. But so did live music come into play at all? Were your parents ever lucky enough to go to live music? Was that a memory you had of them going out to a concert to see anyone?
Not that I know of. Not that I can remember.
Really?
Not that I can remember at all.
Was that because of... Because like for me and my mum, so I don't mind saying this, for me and my parents, they have quite different tastes as well, my parents, but it was a massive treat. They'd go to maybe 1-2 a year because of finances.
Right,
You
of
know,
course.
Didn't have the money. But also, I think when they were younger, like my mum and dad saw Little Stevie, who turns out to be Stevie Wonder, you know. They saw him and Tom Jones and the Beatles and the Rolling Stones in small clubs and stuff around Cardiff. But growing up, it would sort of be, my mum was off to St David's Hall to see the Everly Brothers or whatever it was.
I mean, I might be wrong, but not that I can remember.
No. So what was your first... What do you class then as your first live gig? Your first live concert?
Well, I mean, there could have been like a DJ, like an MC Neat at like, you know how they have baby nightclubs, not like not literally baby nightclubs for babies, but you know when you're between the ages of 14 and 18 or whatever, you go to a night that's put on for teenagers, and there might have been like a DJ, like an MC Neat there. I don't really remember.
A little bit of luck, we can make it through the night.
Something like that, but I wouldn't count that. I'd say my first ever gig was when I was 17, so I was late to the party.
Sorry.
And it was a certain artist.
Yeah.
Good. It was a certain artist by the name of Sean Carter, better known as Jay-Z.
Shut up.
Your first one.
It's my very first one, and it was his.
What year was it?
2000. I want to say 2000. Yeah, 2005 or 6.
2006 or 6.
2006, because I took my very first girlfriend for her birthday.
That's not the Black... No, what album's that?
No, so it was after he came... The Black Album, he retired after releasing that. And then he came out of retirement, and this was his sort of comeback.
Right, yes. And what was that first album when he came back?
Kingdom Come.
Yes.
But it was before that came out.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was long before that came out. So that was in September 2006. I was 17, and it was at Wembley Arena, and I had no idea what I was in for. I mean, even though I was hugely into that music at the time, I didn't know how lucky I was going to get.
Well, I was going to say, because, you know, you went to a massive venue for your first gig. Your first gig was a massive...
Yeah.
Was that the first time you'd been to a stadium?
No, I've been and watched football matches.
You'd seen football matches.
But also, that was Wembley Arena as opposed to Wembley Stadium.
Wembley Arena.
Yeah.
But you'd been to...
Wembley Arena's still big, though, isn't it? Eh?
Oh, yeah, it's massive.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, had you been to a venue like that?
Well, no.
God.
Yeah.
No. So it was a lot of experiences all sort of at once.
It is such a... I can feel it now because I remember the Michael Jackson, and I have to check, because there's actually a few... The problem is, we're geeks and we keep our ticket stubs, and I actually have to sit down and I have to go through all these, because Because actually I'm a bit of a liar because I keep throwing all these things around. But in that 1 year, I saw a lot of bands, and I've said it's Michael Jackson, and I need to spend time nailing it down, because there was also U2, Zoo TV tour. And that feeling I remember more than the Michael Jackson. In the National Stadium, which is now the Millennium Stadium or whatever it's called now in Cardiff, the feeling of walking in and there being 60,000 people on this massive stage. I mean, the Zoo TV tour, I think, personally, it could go down as maybe one of the greatest stadium tours ever. It was just, I mean, it was so far ahead of its time. It was just immense, massive screens everywhere that no one had ever seen before. And all those feelings of colours, sounds, the vibe, the atmosphere. Similar to when I went to my first football game, I can remember that as well.
You're talking specifically about stadium tours, though. So would you count a stadium tour as being that much bigger and better than an arena tour? Because I've been to only 2 stadium gigs.
Really?
Yeah. Of all the gigs I've been to, only 2 of them have been stadiums.
Yeah,
which stadium?
London Stadium, West Ham,
Oh,
both of them.
What did you see?
Beyonce and Jay-Z, joint tour, and Eminem.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't think I've been to many. I think I've been to, well, we were at the same one. We were Radiohead at the
Old Trafford's cricket
ground. Stone Roses at the Etihad.
Stone Roses at the Etihad. Huge.
And also at the Etihad, George Michael.
I'd love to. I'm gutted. He's one I never got to see.
Yeah, but I think that's it. I don't think I've been to many.
No, arenas are still.
Yeah.
There's
just sort of this.
I can't remember what my first arena in Cardiff, but it would have been something like Pulp Oasis, Mannix. It was one of that.
Well,
kind of lot. But
my first arena was my first big gig. It was Eric Clapton.
Eric Clapton.
SECC in Glasgow.
Oh, what lovely man he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what is it you remember from that Jay-Z gig?
I mean, of course, all of the, and this sounds like a weird thing to say, all of the acts, because you would think it would just be a Jay-Z gig, but no. So
it was a massive
You mean all the warm-ups or people he brought on?
The warm-up itself.
Okay.
Kano,
yep.
Absolute. Who I've
British
seen since, and
God.
he is, for me, the greatest British rapper of all time, for me.
Oh, hang on.
Huge, I know.
Greatest British rapper of all time,
Yeah.
Kano.
For me.
Absolutely. And I can see, absolutely, I could see that argument.
But we haven't heard you do Vanilla Ice.
No.
True.
So
it's a good
just,
point.
reserve judgment until we've...
Hang on.
Heard,
Because Kane Robinson, I know you're listening, so... sorry,
Kano
that's-
is and live as well. I've been lucky enough to see him live a few times. And
with his live instrumentation as well.
yes.
Incredible.
Yeah, he is ridiculous.
So he opened up...
Oh, man, that's amazing.
I want to say the Streets. Oh, it's
What?
escaping me now. Yeah, I want to say the Streets.
Mike
I'm pretty
Sinner.
sure it was I'm pretty sure it was Kano, the Streets. I want to. There's another one who I cannot for the life of me remember.
Okay.
But then Lupe Fiasco,
Oh, I love Lupe.
and I saw him. The last but one gig I went to was Lupe Fiasco, and it was the first time I'd seen him since my very first
No way.
gig. So it was.
Where was that?
I was in Manchester at Academy, some sort of academy.
Was it the Academy?
The Academy.
Was it the Academy?
Brilliant
Okay.
venue.
Yeah,
Brilliant,
it's good venue.
Brilliant gig, but it was amazing to see him
That's
for
a
the first
small
time since
venue
my
for
very
Lupe. Flipping
amazing
heck.
to see him for the first time since my very, very first gig. And then Jay-Z came out with Memphis Bleak, who he always used to go on stage with at the time. And then Memphis Bleak took a bit of a break for Beyonce to come out.
Yeah. Oh, Beyonce came out.
Beyonce came out. This is still my first ever gig. Yeah, so Jay-Z and Beyonce on the same stage.
Gosh.
And then this for me was the one because me and my first girlfriend at the time, we were talking about who was better, Jay-Z or Nas beforehand. We were like, who do you prefer? And I was like, I'm a Nas man. She's like, I'm more of a Jay-Z man.
No.
And they'd had this long running feud for I want to say 6 or 7 years, but about 9 months before this gig, Nas came out at Jay-Z's the New York leg of his comeback gig.
That's right.
And it made waves everywhere.
That's right.
The two greatest rappers alive have made up and all this kind of thing. So then Nas came out.
In the London gig?
In the London gig.
Oh, man.
So I see Nas and Jay-Z on the same stage.
Did the crowd go absolutely bat?
Most definitely. And the thing is that I was 17, so if I was 27, 37, I don't know what I probably would have like spontaneously combusted.
Yeah.
But even then, for me, a 17-year-old at the time,
But you must have thought, so, well, this is what happens at gigs.
Yeah.
This is a gig then.
Yes.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I don't know what I thought afterwards. Possibly that.
Well, it's like my first football match. My first football match was 4-3.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's that kind of vibe.
But yeah, I like and we're all football matches like this.
Yeah. I mean,
son.
I think I just remember thinking to myself, it's Jay-Z's comeback, sort of contextualizing it a little bit. It's his comeback, it's his first time back in the UK, coming out of retirement. And the fact that it's just really well timed, and Nas had been made up and he was dating Beyonce. So
can you remember?
I did land on my feet my very first gig.
Bit geeky. Can you remember what track or tracks that Nas did with him?
Yeah.
What did they do?
He came out to Hate Me Now.
Right.
Escobar Caesar has returned. Is what we heard, and then there were flames,
Everyone
and then he came
just
out.
Went mental.
And, oh my days!
Man.
He also did Dead Presidents, because that's the track that Jay-Z and Nas, I think, first ignited their beef.
Right.
Was Dead Presidents, because Jay-Z famously said, "You made a hot line, I made it a hot song," like referring to one of Nas's lyrics.
Yeah.
I'm out for presidents to represent me, and then Jay-Z took that line of Nas's and made it the hook of a whole song.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, partially what ignited their beef, from what I remember.
Man, that is
that they performed that together on stage as well. I think Made You Look. Just an absolute anthem.
He stayed.
Three songs, from what I remember, 2 or 3 songs.
Yeah.
Dead Presidents and Hate Me Now, I'm 99% sure. Made You Look, I could be wrong, but I think so.
And then did gigs kind of come thick and fast after
More
that?
so.
Yeah?
More so, yeah. Because as I say, it took me 17 years to get to a first gig, and I was like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, these things are quite good, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then the second gig I went to was Nas. It was a completely different experience. It was a lot more intimate. Hammersmith Apollo. And I was
what a venue.
Yeah, I was front row centre. So I was about 12 foot away from him.
Yeah.
That was for the Hip Hop Is Dead tour.
Wicked.
Great album.
What a tour, what an album.
Yeah, and then it wasn't, and then I did, now I'm struggling to remember any other ones. There was the Watch the Thrones tour. I've been to quite a few, but it wasn't until 2012 that I went to something that wasn't hip hop and R&B.
Okay.
Or even just hip hop, actually.
Right.
And I might be jumping the gun here by saying my favourite gig I ever went to was...
Okay, you jumping the gun, but we're going to let you.
Swedish House Mafia.
Right, okay.
2012, Antwerp. It was their last tour, and it wasn't... they're now back together.
But only recently, isn't it? But that was... That's what they announced as, this
their
is
last
us,
tour,
this is gone. And where did you see them?
Antwerp.
And so did you...
Antwerp.
Were you planning to go to Antwerp anyway, and it just so happened?
No,
or you just,
absolutely not.
You just decided to go to see that.
It was me and some mates from Union, and it was a really random mix of people. It was 6 of us. My mate that I worked with at the time in a bar, my mate from Union, and his mates from. It was a really random group. Like, there were people that I'd never met before, haven't seen since. Put it like that.
So is that
brilliant?
I thought about asking this to previous guests, but never did. But so is that the furthest you've travelled for a gig?
No.
Where's the furthest?
Stockholm.
Stockholm.
Which I imagine is further than that. Yeah, it would be further than that.
Yeah.
Stockholm for Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
Coming back to Swedish House Mafia, because I know I had friends from back home in Wales that went. I think they went to the British last one, and I'm probably pulling this out of my backside, but I think it might have been like Milton Keynes Bowl.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I missed that.
And people did just say that it was mega. What was so good about it?
It wasn't. Listen, the performance that they put on was incredible. The show that they put on, the light show, everything, the atmosphere, all of that amazing. But
because are they not simply, are they DJing, or are they actually playing?
No, they're DJing
live
they're
as
DJing,
well.
Yeah.
Are they ever playing?
So they are.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, if you think about it, in the same way, if you like, as rappers are on stage with a microphone, they're not dancing or anything like that. It's a completely different show to a Michael Jackson or a Kasabian or whatever. They are stood behind a desk, basically.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? When you break it down,
totally. Because people argue about, is that a live gig? Yeah. I've spent lots of time and money watching DJs. I mean, Fatboy Slim did the biggest arena tours and stuff. And
Right.
So I have no qualms. Yeah, that's live. But then sometimes you'll get DJs who will play sort of live samples in or live, and that I suppose that was my question, whether it was DJing. But as far as you're aware, they were.
As far as I know, they were
DJ sets.
Well, they were definitely there. It was definitely a DJ set because it's not as if what they did was because I was listening to their album, obviously in the run up, and their album is basically a DJ set in that each track mixes into the next track and all that kind of thing. It's seamless for an hour and 10 minutes, whatever.
So why was it your best ever gig?
So this is the thing, is that it wasn't in terms of the atmosphere, the performance, the venue, the light show, none of that. It was all a sort of extenuating stuff, if that makes sense, if that counts. It was the fact that it was... it was sort of stuff sort of outside of the gig that complemented the gig. So 6 lads that, absolute bloody lads, that had never met each other before, and it was the fact that I organised all the tickets and paid for all the tickets and people sent me the money. So that was my bit done. And then it was up to another lad to sort out accommodation, another lad to sort out travel. So one of the boys...
That could have gone so wrong.
Oh!
And sorry, just remind me why you hadn't met before. What?
So it was me and a mate from uni that were like, we need to go and see them.
Yeah.
Right. And then I mentioned it at work. And I was working in a bar at the time. And another lad was like, I need to go. And I was like, yeah, you're sound. Come.
Okay, so you knew it wasn't like you were there with 5 other strangers.
No. I knew. So 6 of us, and I knew. Was there 5 of us? 5 or 6 of us, and I knew. There were like 1 or 2 people I'd never met before.
Right. Okay.
Who were friends of friends, like or housemates. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is going to be a film one day, isn't it? That weekend.
Well, possibly when I'm done with Lupia. But so I organised all the tickets. Another lad organised the travel, and the travel that he picked was an overnight bus from London Victoria to Brussels, not even Antwerp. So then we
slow hand clap for him.
Oh, I know, right? So it's like, cheers, Neil Owen. Cheers.
But if it cost you £10, nice one, Neil.
Yeah, true. I can't remember, but it wasn't ideal. So we got to Brussels, took a train from Brussels to Antwerp, and it was an adventure. Cool. Done an all-night adventure. Whatever. Fine. Then we got to Antwerp, and the accommodation wasn't ready for another 5 hours. So, because we got there at like 7 in the morning. So we then had to wander around Antwerp. It's like, what do we do? Like, we need to sleep because we got a big day and night ahead of us. And we got into the hotel, and we just got chatting to some girls, as you do. One of the boys did, Neil. Well done, mate. And they just let us sleep on their floor in their room while they went out for breakfast. So we did. Just slept on the floor in their room until our room was ready.
No, I mean, it does already sound like an adventure.
An adventure.
I mean, I think,
this is an Irving Welsh film.
It's also not finished.
Right.
Yeah, so after that, obviously went on the tour of Antwerp and all that kind of thing until got to the gig. Now, our tickets were seated, right?
What was the venue?
Antwerpen Arena. It was an arena, yeah.
It was an
arena.
It wasn't a sports arena. It was sort of a music
like double up.
Arena.
I don't think it was like the Antwerp football stadium.
No, it was an indoor.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But our tickets were seated. And if you go to like a dance gig, you don't want to be seated.
No.
You
have that horrible thing of when that happens at an arena and you've got seats and you're there going, "This is the Prodigy.
Why are we
to be standing?"
If you're at that kind of gig, you want to be having as good a time as possible. You don't really want to be looking down and seeing people who are having a far better time.
I'm not saying me and my brother did run down over the fence or over the barrier.
Well, I'll say then, you and your brother did run.
So we did that at Manchester Arena,
Imagine doing that.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
It's awful. It was awful.
Yeah.
I feel terrible to this.
Really,
No, I don't.
Yeah, I thought not.
You want to be down in amongst it.
So
what did you do, Richie?
So there were 6 of us, and we were like, "Yes, we're gonna just see if we can sneak our way into the standing section."
Yeah.
And so we did. But being 6'3", I got spotted and stopped. Me and my mate got spotted and stopped, and we were told, "Do one, go to where you're supposed to go." So we did go to where we were supposed to go. We got split up basically. So there's 4 that made it, and us 2.
Why did you not run?
Big security guard.
Oh,
No, we weren't. There wasn't. Nah.
We ran fast.
Yeah, fair play. So what we did was we were literally like, next to the stage, really high up in the nosebleeds, and like, this is not the view. Wormed our way down to the front, and then somehow the boys spotted us. somehow in amongst
What,
a
they were
60,000 person arena, we got to the front of the seated section, and the boys come running through the crowd. I'll never forget it. Come running through the crowd, and they spot us, and they're like, "Oh my God, there you are!" And the gig had started by then, and we were just like, "Okay," jumped over the top, and it's probably about a 12-foot drop.
A 12-foot drop?
Probably, yeah. Jumped over top.
Yeah, but for you could step over that.
True, very true. Yeah,
for me, I'm landing on my death.
You would plummet.
Yes.
I would
plummet. Yes. Yeah.
Where's Alex? Oh, he's just plummeted.
It's flat.
It's the way he would have wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He always wanted to plummet.
Oh my gosh.
Spotted my mates somehow. I don't know how they spotted me, but in amongst, as I say, 60,000 people, however many it was. And we're like, oh, we've sort of reunited. Let's just jump. So we did. 12-foot jump.
12 foot. It's 12.
Yeah.
12-foot jump to Richie. 12-foot
plummet to Alex.
Exactly. A plummet. And I'd be gone.
And then just got down to the front and just ran.
Because then the adrenaline is so high. Along with everything else going on that night, you were probably all celebrating like it was,
World Cup win,
Yeah.
World Cup final win. It was magic to be because obviously, like once we got split up, we were like, well, we're never going to see them again, never again.
Oh, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, there's that. Yeah.
So it's for them to have spotted us, it's nuts. Then we got reunited, and then we got right to the front, and there was like my mate, holding me up on his shoulders and being on
your
my
mate
mate's
holding you on his
Yes,
shoulders. How big's your mate? Please tell me he's 5 foot.
He's not as tall as me, but he's not built like a noodle like myself.
You must
So
have
he's a strong
literally
guy.
blocked everyone's view.
Nah, that's their problem.
You look like a totem bomb.
Yeah, the nosebleeds at the nosebleeds at the back.
Yeah.
What's that?
How many people is that?
Yeah.
Just 2?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like one of those classics, people on top of people in a trench coat.
pyramid.
But yeah. But yeah, he held me up on his shoulders loads of times, and it was just an amazing atmosphere. And we eventually got right to the front, ended up on the big screen. Like the cameras were like filming everything. We saw ourselves on the big screen.
Yay.
See, I've never been on somebody's shoulders. Have you been on somebody's shoulders? Just thinking about it.
Yeah, of course I have.
No, at
Have
a
you
gig.
not?
At a gig.
Yeah.
You got to.
How?
Yeah,
Just tick it off your list.
Whose shoulders have
tiny.
you been on?
Anyone.
Anyone
all
that'll offer.
kinds. Yeah.
I've never been on somebody's shoulders.
Come on, let's go. On my shoulders.
There you go, yeah.
I'd be well up for that.
Yes, no?
Yeah.
There's your offer.
That'd be awesome.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. Security at Media City just offered you on his shoulders. Yeah.
You got
great.
You got as a gig. You got to.
And then I've told you about person on my. Oh, I don't know if I have on this podcast. So I'll either edit this out or keep it in. And it was Reading Festival, and it was Manson on the stage.
Marilyn.
No, not Marilyn.
Is it
Good shout though.
wide open
but
space?
Manson, I'm in a wide open space.
I was about to say, Bop. That's Hanson.
No, that's Hanson. And this girl said, "Can I go on your shoulders?" I went, "Yeah, whatever." And then my friend Gary is next to me, and he's just looking at me, staring, and he's gobsmacked. And he also just looked completely shocked and what is happening. And so I'm looking at him, and I'm starting to panic because I'm thinking,
Who's on my shoulders?
yeah, I'm thinking, what's going on here? And
It was Kylie Minogue.
he's looking at me, and then he's looking at the big screens, and he's doing sort of me looking at the screens, and I'm like, so I look at the screens and I start laughing with him because there's a topless girl on the screens, and I'm going, that's funny. And then I realised as I turned to Gary, the girl on the screen moved, so I just moved left, right, and as I moved left and right, the topless girl on the screen was moving left to right. And this girl got on my shoulders and without me knowing had just taken her top off. And I was like, there's a topless, there's a pair of breasts bouncing on top of my head, literally there. And then she just tapped me, got down. That was an awkward one.
Oh, I bet.
Because I bet.
What do you
and I
say
was
to
there
that?
going, and she went, thanks so much.
Nice to meet you.
And I just looked her in the eyes and said, no worries.
Boys,
And then, yeah, it was It was hilarious, I'll be honest.
Wow.
Yeah. That was interesting.
No,
Oh,
well, I mean, if I did get on somebody's shoulders, I might go topless.
It's true, and I'd feel your boobs on top of my head. So, I love that there's so many things that make a favourite gig, but we're now going to take you on to the quick fire round.
Okay.
And we say that with our tongue in cheek, but hey, we'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. What's your most recent gig?
Hans Zimmer. Absolutely it was a quasi-religious experience.
Oh,
so
now we're talking.
he had guests. He had guests. Was Johnny Marr playing with? I had.
Wait, well, actually, confirm to me who the Johnny Marr that you're thinking of is.
Okay, so guitarist for the Smiths.
So there was a young lad
No,
from Manchester who goes on tour with him. But no, not the guitarist from the Smiths. I'm pretty sure. No.
Because
did that ring a bell?
Yeah, he has appeared, but Zimmer has been doing this arena tour is a world tour, isn't it? So it may not have been Richie's night, but also, and I'm not going to undermine taking the mic, the Smiths is not, and Johnny Marr is not on Richie's radar either. So it could have, but Marr is older. How old's Marr now?
He's
late 50s, or is he actually a bit old?
Yeah,
late 50s.
No, Johnny Marr was. I'm pretty sure I'm 90% sure.
Right.
He was not there.
So how did? Because this is actually really recent, isn't it? The past couple of weeks.
3 weeks ago.
So what was the setup? How did he do? He had his orchestra. What else was going on?
Orchestra, amazing light show. And as far as guests, the unbelievable, I wish I knew her name, but unbelievable vocalist of the Gladiator theme, which we all know, really
Lisa Gerrard.
Sounds, unbelievably beautifully haunting
Lisa
vocals.
Gerrard, I'm pretty sure
she was there. The incredible vocalist of the Lion King theme tune,
Arsene Wenger.
Arsene Wenger, yeah.
No way, Arsene Wenger was with Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh wow! So he bought
that gentleman whose name I should know. So the guys who did this, those songs and those particular themes, and
where was Zimmer on the stage? How was he set up? Was he moving around instruments?
He did move around, but he predominantly right smack bang in the middle, in going between piano and.
Was
microphone.
He conducting it then?
No,
as well.
He wasn't conducting in the sense.
Conductor?
No, neither actually. There wasn't a conductor, and he wasn't conducting, and I thought he would be, but he would go to his piano and play, when necessary.
I mean, you would know this more than me. That must be really regimented of the orchestra then, to sort of have no conductor as such and just relying on a musician who's moving around. That must be quite
I would have thought that the principal violinist would be the point of focus if there wasn't a conductor.
And that would check out, because she was unbelievable, and she's sort of like the best supporting.
Right, so that sounds.
Do you know what I mean?
From a logical point of view, you would have relied on that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've been to see a composer live, and I have. Yeah, I have. I went to
Philip Glass,
Edinburgh Film Festival, and I went to see Mark Kermode in conversation with Angelo Badalamenti.
Oh wow, Angelo Badalamenti, who did
Twin Peaks.
Theme.
And collaborated with Tim Booth, because he was the bad angel.
James, the band James, Sit Down, Manchester band. Oh, sit down.
Oh yeah.
So the lead singer from James.
He collaborated with Angelo Badalamenti as Bad Angel.
Bad Angel, that's right. Good albums. You'd really like them.
Okay.
You those albums, because I know you like your orchestral films.
Love my everything.
You'd like those.
Well, at one point he went to the piano. Badalamenti went to the piano and played Laura's theme from
Twin Peaks.
From Twin Peaks, and the whole place was just reduced to tears. It was just so moving, because he was talking about the way that David Lynch had described this. He was saying that this girl has gone into the woods and she gets lost and she ends up dying and and he was playing this music as he was describing it as David Lynch had described to him. And he was saying that the music just came to him as he was being described it.
Different sort of genius, that, isn't it?
Oh, it's next level.
I want to pick up on the feeling that you said, but also that you mentioned, Richie, because I've said this about various gigs. I've said this in the early days of going to see the Manics when it was just punk rock riot. It would be a religious experience. So you just said, in fact, you said it was quasi-religious.
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
Because, and this is the thing, if anyone listening to this was going to take anything away from this interview, I would say that you, in your lifetime, you need to go to a gig from as many different genres as you can.
Yeah.
Because they are, on the one hand, you're sitting and watching someone perform music, but on the other hand, they are completely different experiences. You cannot compare watching Jay-Z or Nas. In fact, you can't even compare watching Jay-Z in an arena with watching Nas, two rappers front row centre.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the same way that you can't compare watching Kasabian to watching Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Because watching Kasabian was like being at a football match with the best atmosphere of all time without any football. Really weird. Like everyone chanting along at the same time.
They are incredible, actually.
Unbelievable.
Kasabian.
Same with Liam Gallagher, who I saw a week later. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But
what about this?
But then Hans Zimmer,
yeah.
It's 40 different instruments, which if you really break it down, it's going to sound a bit, if you really break it down, instruments just make like a noise, don't they? That's at the end of the day, they make a noise.
Yeah.
But it's the way that all of those noises were perfectly in tune to make this beautiful, beautiful sound that you just cannot get your head around how they create something as stunning as that. And there were moments where I would just focus in on different parts of that orchestra. So I'd focus in on all the strings, and then I'd focus in on all the drums, and I'd try and isolate them, and it helped lift everything in a way. Like trying to isolate each of those individual instruments would just heighten everything else, because I saw the work and the graft that was going in to make this beautiful noise. And Time by Hans Zimmer is one of my favourite pieces of music of all time. Yeah. It's from Inception, if you've seen that.
Yeah.
And when he did that at the end, I nearly cried.
And that's how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Is that feeling you have, is it different? Is it different, or is it the same feeling that you get at other gigs?
Different. Like Swedish House Mafia, euphoria like I have never known before. Absolute euphoria. Like and same with, Watch the Throne, or when I went to see Watch the Throne, Jay-Z and Kanye West, and when I went to, whereas Nas front row centre, it was rowdy, and it was like, and Kendrick Lamar, because I ended up very close to him. Again, I keep saying 12 foot, but it was about that. It was me and my mate, and with arms around each other, just shouting the lyrics back at Kendrick Lamar, and it was like no one else was there. Yeah. And I said Kasabian, it was like a football match, same with Liam Gallagher. So just completely, to quote David Brent, different music for different needs. Or he says different drinks for different needs, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. So you are someone then that is emotionally affected by live music.
I'm emotionally affected by music, full stop.
Yeah.
But absolutely full stop.
I suppose with Hans Zimmer as well, he's developed his career in such a way that there aren't many composers that you can hear a piece of music and go, oh, that's... So John Williams, I would suggest, is...
Yeah, John Williams, 100%. You can.
Yeah.
But Hans Zimmer now, I would recognise... so, for example, I listened to this podcast a couple of years ago called 15 Minutes to the Moon, and it's all about the moon landing in '69. And I heard the theme tune and thought, sounds quite like Hans Zimmer, that. And I would never have really known that I knew what a Hans Zimmer piece of music was. Yeah. And it was a BBC podcast, and I thought, why would it be Hans Zimmer? And it was Hans Zimmer.
Same with Blue Planet, Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
I don't know if this word is used with composers, but I studied film, and within film, you've mentioned David Lynch. He's possibly my favourite auteur. And there's the whole discussion in films of which directors are auteurs. Hitchcock, Lynch. So I think there are composers who've become auteurs where you hear Williams and you know. Yeah,
well, oddly enough, in my film and TV dissertation, I wrote about Tim Burton being an auteur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman
Yeah,
is
yeah.
another composer you would know.
Yeah.
That's
You can
Michael Bay,
yeah.
auteur. You know a Michael Bay film, don't you? I mean, say what you want, but you know a Michael Bay film if you see it.
Oh my gosh!
I know. Listen, I don't.
No, you're right.
Right? Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I think this has to be a record for the quickfire round.
Yeah, quickfire round.
That is unbelievable.
Right. Second question. Worst ever gig?
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That was quick.
That was quite quick.
Go on.
Usher.
Okay.
Love his music. But it was, and I refer to these gigs where people go along knowing only one song. And listen, say what you want about audience gigs. Do what you want, of course. This is just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
This was Usher when he released his song OMG. Really awful song.
Which year would this have been?
2011?
Oh, 11. Okay.
About 2011.
Yeah.
Really bad song. And Usher has made some brilliant music.
Yeah.
Brilliant music. And I was a fan, hugely. Like 8701 and Confessions are two of the greatest R&B albums of all time. But this, and I'd never seen him before, and then the time came and I was like, oh, let me go to this gig. No one knew any of his music apart from this one really dreadful song. And so the atmosphere was flat and dead and no one did a thing. And then OMG, he finished with OMG, which is not a good song, especially compared to his older stuff. And everyone didn't go nuts, but everyone's phones came out, started filming it. And it wasn't a bad gig in and of itself, but it's my least favourite gig.
Yeah.
I'm a I said it, to be honest, when it comes to sort of how people consume gigs, especially.
Yeah.
And in terms of there's such an element with social media that people will jump on the bandwagon of an artist who's performing because of who they are, not because of them being a fan of them, to say, look, I am at this gig, I am at this Drake gig or whatever, as opposed to actually being a fan of them.
Yeah.
That's really cynical of me to say, and I might be completely wrong, but that's how it comes across sometimes.
No, I think I've mentioned this in a previous episode. So I loved the gig, but there were elements which I hated, and it was Stevie Wonder at the arena.
Wow.
And I was surrounded by people who I reckon, if they had been asked what Stevie Wonder's best song was, they would say, "I Just Called to Say I Love You."
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
God.
It just felt, or Happy Birthday.
Which is actually a terrible song.
Oh, God.
It's a terrible
but
song.
But basically, I was surrounded by people who were singing along to some of the shonkiest of his songs, and there aren't that many, but at the top of their voices, and we were kind of going, just keep it down. And it was like, we've paid our money, we'll do whatever. And, it's that kind of selfish thing.
I hate that.
Yeah. I can't actually hear Stevie Wonder singing. Could you just keep it
Keep
down?
it down, please. That's bad.
Who have you seen the most live?
Nas. 7 times, maybe 6 times.
7 times.
Followed by Jay-Z 5 times.
Who have you seen most? Because it doesn't necessarily follow that it is your favourite artist.
No, not at
I would
all.
have said.
No,
sometimes you see them by accident.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
No, it's totally true. It is the Manics, followed closely by the Charlatans, and maybe the Chemical Brothers as well. But yeah, the Manics, simply because I would follow them, on tour in those early days, and so in one tour alone, I'd have seen them maybe not even close to some of those people who would go the whole tour, but 4 or 5 times on one tour, whatever. So it's still the Manics, but I think Sam Fender might start.
No, absolutely. Sorry, this is a random question that I'm just going to throw in just now, but you'll understand why.
Right,
if you were to go on Mastermind, what would your specialist subject be?
I think this may come to fruition because I have been asked if I would go on.
Have you?
In passing, in that, we're shooting a new series in September. Would you be interested? Yes. And I've thought long and hard about this, and I thought to myself,
don't embarrass us, Richie. And by us, I mean kids' TV.
Don't
embarrass us.
It's going to be something that
there's been some atrocious.
No, with all due respect, it's going to be something that. Oh, right, okay.
There's been some awful performances from us kids' TV presenters.
Are you referring to yourself?
No.
He actually did.
No,
I mean, he only lost to Chris Packham.
Oh,
I mean, there's no shame.
No shame in that at all.
But the reason I ask is because his specialist subject was Mannix.
Right.
I did the Mannix.
I think my specialist subject would be.
Nas.
I think so, but I don't know how niche you could make it. I don't know if it could be a particular song or a particular album or a particular.
So for me, I had to tell them. So like
who the Mannix were.
Yeah. So it was just the Mannix.
So not even Manic Street Preachers, because that's what I'm thinking of.
Manic Street Preachers.
Oh, okay, right.
And it was just broad. So whereas I think
and you still nailed it.
Yeah. I think Sid. Yeah, I did. Yeah. But I think Sid said like Liverpool Football Club between 80s and 90s. Also, he started narrowing stuff down.
Yeah.
It depends. If you said one album, then no, they'd probably go no. That's too niche. But you think you'd go with Nas?
It would this is it. It would either be a musical artist. I know this. It would either be a musical artist or
Manchester United.
Blue Peter presenters.
No.
Definitely not.
Who is number 11?
He doesn't know number 13 is.
It would either be Man United, maybe 90s Man United.
Yeah.
It'd be the 90s Man United, Nas, or The Matrix. The film The Matrix.
Which I only watched for the first time last month.
I beg your pardon?
Wow.
I know.
That's a conversation for off air.
And it was quite good.
It was quite good.
So
it is a bit
moving
on. So
what I will say from that is it's quite good, and this is a film from 1999 about technology, and it shows how well it's aged.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's mad. Yeah. And I don't think even they know.
But then started watching the sequel.
No.
And so I'm not going to do that again.
What a mess. So we're taking you on to it's a fantasy festival. It's a day-long event, and you call it what you want. Driss Hop, Driss Fest, Driss Up. I just don't know.
Driss Up. Yes, the ultimate Driss Up. That's what I'd go with. Good shout.
And we've given you 5 things to think of. You've got an opening act, and then you've got a spoken word interview, because you're very cultural, and it's someone that you're going to interview live on stage. And then you've got your second act, and then you've got a DJ who is going to warm the crowd up for the headliner. So you had 5 things there. So we've got the big Driss Up, day-long, and he's referring to his notes.
Have you
now.
opened up notes?
He's referring to his notes.
No, do you know what? I was thinking about this because I don't if you don't mind me saying that you sent me.
No,
this
it's okay. Yeah,
for
listener,
me to think about.
There's only 1 or 2 questions that we give our guests a heads up, because this would be unfair. So it doesn't matter where we are, because that then does become very much like a different podcast. But the opening act of the day, and it's just after midday. Gates have opened. We're all in, so it's early doors. Who is the opening act or artist?
This is one of the most difficult questions I've ever been asked in my life. Because my taste in music is, as you may have noticed, very varied. Therefore, am I thinking from a business point of view, who would buy tickets to this ultimate Driss Up?
Oh my God.
The answer...
This is brilliant. No one has ever said to us...
The answer would be absolutely no one, because who would want to go and see Kasabian, Hans Zimmer, Nas, Maxwell, and... If I could bring back Michael Jackson.
You're the first person who's ever approached it from a marketing point of view.
But that's a real...
Forget it. Forget
what people want. It's just my personal taste.
Right. Just assume that it's going to be a sellout. It's going to be a sellout, and the people who buy tickets are going to be the best people.
Sure.
It's not going to be the people who just know one song.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because if you did announce a lineup like that, it would all sell out. Because people would go, this sounds bonkers, we're going to be there. So who's the opening act?
But then, okay. And the other question that I've got is, and
who's doing the catering? Is
it
going to be street food, or are we going to bring in the chains? What's going on?
Street food. But yeah.
Are we going to bring in the chains?
Yeah. Or is it independent marketers?
Do you build up, or do you...
This is not for us to answer. This is your decision.
Because ending on a Hans Zimmer time is just as powerful as ending on a Oasis Wonderwall. Do you know, not Oasis Wonderwall, like a Prodigy.
There's one thing I can say. A, I absolutely love your thought into this, but B, you're going to be useless on Mastermind. Time is up.
Right, yeah,
but what? You didn't explain, Clive.
Fine. I'm just gonna go for it.
So who's the opening act? I love the thought. This caused you trouble.
Okay. Opening act would be Maxwell.
Interesting choice. Okay.
Neo soul singer Maxwell.
And how is he going to get to the venue? Have we
thought
about that?
Helicopter.
How is that? I mean, exactly.
Teleportation.
Okay. Right.
Have you got makeup?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Maxwell. Why Maxwell?
I think he is, as far as raw singular talent goes, Hans Zimmer is a genius because he's got a 40-person. Do you know what I mean? He's a genius because he wrote all the music, but he doesn't do anything on his own. He's got a 40-person.
Okay.
Right?
I like how you're thinking. It's fine.
Nas, incredible lyricist, incredible presence on stage. Love him. But and a genius rapper, lyricist.
Yeah.
But if I'm just going to be maybe potentially controversial, I think what it takes... A lot of the work when it goes into rap is in the writing phase, not as much in the performing. Phase, right?
Because often I've been so many hip hop gigs like you and rap gigs, and a lot of them are rubbish live.
It's a different sort of performance, isn't it?
It can be often a bit rubbish because it is.
But the reliance is a lot more on the songs and the lyrics rather than the performance.
Absolutely.
So it's a different thing.
So you're going for Maxwell because musically and a performer,
singular talent.
Yeah,
with his vocals live.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love that.
Yeah, no, I like the fact that you've approached it from a live performance point of view rather than who is your favourite. It's it's about the performance in a live setting.
100%. And in fact, one of the questions that you sent me was with regards to like a live album I would recommend. Maxwell MTV Unplugged album is beautiful.
Say no more.
Yeah.
So Maxwell is opening.
So you're going to interview somebody after that. Who is it going to be and why?
Live on stage with Richie Driss, interviewing.
Do they have to be performing as well or not?
No.
And it has to be music, I'm assuming.
No, it could be.
It doesn't even have to be music.
David Attenborough. It could be.
This is just a cultural festival. It's a dress up. It's the big dress up.
Big dress up.
The big dress up.
David Attenborough feels, for obvious reasons, he feels too obvious. Do you know what I mean? And without one name drop,
yeah,
he
is going to. He's done that. He's been there.
I didn't interview him because there were kids asking the questions, but I was there.
Yes,
on screen.
He's
done the interview.
He's bored. He's bored of Attenborough.
Absolutely, never. If you've heard his voice, that's not possible.
So go on.
Sorry, I'm really delaying this.
Who is it?
Is that Dead or Alive or both?
Either.
Tupac.
Okay.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine bringing Tupac out to interview and then not having him perform? Brilliant.
Oh,
brilliant.
No.
And do you know what? We're going to leave it there, and I'm not even going to ask you any more because I don't want to just. Yeah, I don't know anymore. Brilliant. Tupac has been interviewed.
That punch that Ali doesn't throw after he's knocked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Knocked him out and then.
He's like, it's going to spoil the poetry of the moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Love it.
Leave it.
So who's the second act on then? I mean, Maxwell, Tupac, and then the second act is
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer. Brilliant.
I think that's a great way to follow.
That's a brilliant way. How do you follow Tupac Shakur being interviewed and not performing? Ladies and gentlemen, Hans Zimmer.
I will never answer this question satisfactorily.
No, and it'll be different in an hour or so, and that's what we like.
I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. like, no, Kasabian. Why didn't I say them?
And that's what we like. So Hans Zimmer has just blown us all away, and he's had Arsene Wenger on stage with him live as well.
Yeah.
And so we're into the nitty-gritty now. We're warming up, getting ready for the headliner, and the DJ or DJs that's going to do that.
Swedish House Mafia.
Swedish House Mafia, of course.
Yeah.
And is there a 12-foot drop that I have to plummet
Yes.
down? Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. To enter that part of Driss Up.
Driss Up, the big Driss Up.
The
I
ultimate
have to
Driss
get
Up.
down a 12-foot plummet.
You have to jump.
You're going to have to catch me.
Well, no, you put a parachute on because the drop will be so
That is true.
high.
I like a plastic bag.
It'll
No
have time
problem.
to, it'll have time to
No worries. You'll be in the pit shooting it. So
Yeah.
So the big Driss Up, everyone's foaming at the mouth because they've seen Maxwell. They've heard Tupac Shakur being interviewed. Hans Zimmer's just made us all cry. And then Swedish House Mafia have come on and we're in a frothing mess. And everyone's cheering. Everyone's
Yes.
cheering.
Doesn't sound like my kind of
Everyone-
frothing
whatever.
mess.
Yeah, it is. You're going to be absolutely off your cake by then. Everyone's going to be going mental, crazy. And they're all shouting for the headliner. And the headliner comes on and it is...
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Wow. What era Michael Jackson? Are we talking bad Michael
Current?
Jackson?
Definitely. Not definitely not a current one.
Talking
I'd say...
Thriller?
Yeah, which Michael Jackson's walking out on stage here?
I mean, this is the thing, is that the later into his career you get, and I feel guilty even saying that because he's a problematic
Yeah, we get that, but
person.
we're looking at...
Music.
Yeah,
I mean, first gigs, you've got Michael Jackson, I've got
Yeah.
Eric Clapton, you know.
yeah, there's some problematic
Yeah,
stuff
we're
there.
represented,
That's
surely.
now. That's now.
But I'm saying this in hindsight. But regardless, I love the Invincible album as much as I love Dangerous. And Invincible was the last full album that he released himself. And that's 2001,
Yeah.
I would say. And I love that album. And I love
do you?
Dangerous. But I love Thriller. And he never released... The only bad album that I can think of... Outside of bad. Sorry. The only album of his I disliked was Blood on the Dance Floor, and that's because most of it is terrible remixes.
Yeah.
It's got like 4 original songs, which are all brilliant, and then there's a load of terrible remixes.
What's your favourite Jackson album?
It's either bad. I mean, I played it to death. I played it to death, or Off the Wall.
Yeah. Not Thriller?
Oh god.
See, I would say bad, just because any album that's got Man in the Mirror on it, gets an extra star.
Just ridiculous, that song. But then you have the stories behind. What's he saying?
Nailed it. Yeah.
Vic Reeves does Michael Jackson.
Well, Michael Jackson was the original Vic Reeves. That's the point.
No, Elton John.
I had to, I'm still standing.
I'm Dill Danding.
Exactly. So essentially, you're going to have Jacko just come on and do a greatest hits set. That sort of makes sense. Is that? Or is that what you're having? Oh, you don't want a greatest hits?
I mean,
What?
Yes. I want to dig a little deeper than that, personally.
Do a B-sides.
Potentially.
B-sides. He doesn't know what B-sides are.
I do, young man.
Only because your mum and dad told you, because they're our age.
What was the first thing? I remember being gifted, right?
Yeah.
Eiffel 65 Blue.
Oh,
Right.
Blue dabba dee dabba
And I think I
da.
listened to it once out of pure politeness.
Was it
Yeah.
on a single?
It was not on a single. It was on a compact disking goal. You know what I mean? Come back to me. I've got something better for that.
Compact dingle.
Come back to yeah. If you like.
I've got.
But it was on that, so I know what B-sides from that, from singles. Going through HMV when I was a kid and that.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was. I genuinely thought that was partially. It wasn't patronising. I thought we'd sort of lost singles because that's a bit of a dark period for me. To the very early 2000s. I mean, 2 years of that is completely blank to me. But
Sure.
So a niche reference there. People know my personal life. But okay, so just wrap it up. you don't want Jacko coming on and doing a greatest hits. That's
I don't
that's
know
really
what I want,
ballsy.
Alex.
Yeah, but none of us know what we want in life.
But also,
this is
you
just,
said
luckily this is just a live music podcast.
But also,
so,
I think Richie's going to have to speak to Jacko first and see what he wants to do.
Sure.
as
Right,
well.
okay.
Because I mean, we have to think about logistics here. You can't just put a dream festival and just expect it to happen.
no,
You can't just
it's true.
expect
is-
it to, people just to turn up and do what you
I
want.
know.
No,
God.
imagine that.
This
You
is
need
the
to-
big drisser.
You need to think about logistics. You need to
Yeah.
think about all these things, as Richie said.
Street
Well,
food.
set
well,
up.
we're in trouble then if we're looking at logistics and Michael Jackson. So what's he playing? You
What's
actually,
right?
so if he's not doing the greatest hits, this is bonkers. You've just had all that, and yet you're suggesting that Michael Jackson's going to come out, headline the big dress up, and just play one album.
No.
No. What, but
Cherry
not
pick
greatest
here,
hits?
there, everywhere from albums. But the thing is, though, is that you already said it doesn't matter about the audience, right? Because I was thinking from a
Absolutely.
marketing perspective.
No.
If I was going to do, if I was about making money from this, it would be the greatest hits. But
So actually, you're choosing the set list for Michael Jackson.
yeah,
And
it's
it's
the
going to
ultimate
include.
dress up or the big dress up.
It's going to include. What's the most obscure?
Do you know? I just popped into my head.
Go on.
I'll just get him to do covers. Not do any of his
Michael
own
Jackson.
songs.
So just tell me the most obscure track that you're going to ask him to do.
We've
or
had
unexpected.
we've had enough.
I mean, wow.
There's a Michael Jackson song called "We've Had Enough."
Yeah.
And it's brilliant. I couldn't even tell you the album it's from. It was an album. I think it was an album that was released as a greatest hits in one part of the world, but
Yeah, because I
not
had
everywhere.
yeah, because I had a copy of Bad on cassette.
Which had
From-
Leave Me Alone on it,
Yes,
which was only available.
I got it from my friend. Got it for me from Bali.
Yeah,
Leave Me Alone.
Leave
Yeah.
Me Alone.
So just leave
Yeah,
me
yeah,
alone.
But it was released as a
Leave me
It
single.
was released as a single with a music video.
Yeah.
And the video was him at his most
No,
kind of self-deprecating because it had
It was
The
him sailing
Elephant Man
along, wasn't
stuff.
it?
Yeah,
Elephant Man stuff and kind of all the stuff
The
that he
chimp
was getting
stuff.
pummeled for.
yeah. But it was released as a track on the Bad album, just in a few places, and I think it's
Oh,
Australasia.
on the Bad album.
Yeah.
Because I know
Yeah.
from Dangerous.
No.
No. It was on History, the compilation,
Yeah,
I think.
but actually, I've got it on, a copy of the album Bad from Bali. My friend got it from Bali, and he stopped
No,
over
yeah, not
going to
Dangerous.
Australia. Well, this is brilliant. Richie
Sorry,
is
I've
searching
I've swan dived into my phone
for that.
Anyway, right,
See,
sorry.
it's
Yeah, I
brilliant.
digress.
That's and I'll be honest, that's ballsy. He's going to do, and why wouldn't you? If it's your festival, if I had the Mannix headlining, I'd be saying, you're not going to play You Stole the Sun from My Heart because I do not like it. So,
No,
yeah.
and not Theme from MASH?
Yeah.
Really? Would you?
Yes! Don't be daft, of course I would.
Do not care for
And you know he means it because he went very high pitched.
He did,
Only,
yeah.
and that was for Henry, the Blue Pizza Dog.
Yeah.
Only he heard
Only
it.
he heard that.
that. Yeah. Last
We
question.
came to the last question in the podcast.
So, do you have a go-to piece of live music, either a recording or something that is on YouTube, a live performance that you go to that either chills you out or, absolutely gets you up for it?
Up for what?
If you're going to go on a night out or something and you want...
Oh, that's
it's like-
different.
yeah, exactly. But just a piece of live music.
I can tell you probably my favourite piece of live music
Yes, there it is.
is the track This Woman's Work, which is a Kate Bush song.
Yes.
It's covered by Maxwell.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't realise he covered it.
Wow.
He covered it. So he's covered it. He covered it and released it on the album Now, his album Now, but he did a live version of it on MTV Unplugged. And it's
Did he?
just unbelievable.
I need to check that out because I love the song,
Yeah.
but I only know the Kate Bush version.
Yeah.
Actually, so on every guest's page on our website, we will put videos of what we've talked about. We'll do a
Links,
playlist
yeah.
as well.
Amazing.
Playlist.
But I'll put Kate Bush and Maxwell next to each other. So
Yeah.
I like
There are two versions of the Maxwell. There's the album version, which is magic, really, really good, but it's the...
it's a live version.
I think if I had to pick, it'd be the live version.
And that was
Yeah.
for MTV Unplugged.
MTV did a string of albums called Unplugged. Like Alicia Keys did one, Jay-Z did one, Maxwell did one.
Eric Clapton did one.
Well, let's be honest. You know, I think the most famous is the Nirvana, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Well,
of course.
That was one of the first, wasn't it?
Yeah, but also Tony Bennett did one.
Yes, he did.
And it resurrected his career.
Yeah.
And he, so I saw him just after the Unplugged album came out. So that must have been 97, 96, something like that. Anyway, I saw him in Glasgow. And what he did was he was obviously very appreciative of MTV for resurrecting his career because he was in his 70s.
Yeah.
And he would go, well, I sang this on Unplugged. Let's get Unplugged. Can we unplug? And so basically they just turned off all the mics. And he was in the Royal Concert Hall in Glasgow. And he just sang. And his voice just boomed off the walls. It was
no way.
Yeah, it was incredible. Can we get Unplugged? And he'd do that. I photographed him at Bridgewater Hall about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and he did exactly the same shtick, exactly the same thing. Can we turn the mics off? And he did exactly the same thing.
That's impressive.
And he was kicking on 90.
That's unbelievable.
That's unbelievable.
But I think MTV did a good job of kind of resurrecting some careers as well.
Yeah.
Because of these Unplugged.
Yeah. They were great sessions. And to be honest, listeners, if you've not delved into those series that, you know, spanned years and years, you absolutely should. Because the Nirvana one, and I love the Pearl Jam one as well, going back, they were great. But we shall put a link to that Maxwell cover.
Yeah.
And at another time, we'll have a discussion about favourite live covers. Because that's just
that's mine, there it is.
That's a wonderful thing. And that's Richie Driss is there. And that, listener, is Richie Driss. Richie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
An education.
Loved it.
I think we're going to have a lot of tracks, Chris and I, to listen to there that we perhaps wouldn't have listened to before. We're going to turn Chris into a big Jay-Z Nas fan.
I'm a massive Nas fan, anyway.
Good man.
Massive.
That's not how you pronounce it.
Nas.
No, you're
Nas. Nas.
Richie Driss, thank you.
Lovely. Thanks, Jeds.
There we go, Mr. Richie Driss, everyone. Brilliant, hey? What a man.
Yeah, and we said during the interview that we would address the whole John Noakes climbing the Old Man of Hoy.
And you have, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I have addressed it, and I was almost exactly correct, apart from the person who climbed the Old Man of Hoy and the fact that it wasn't the Old Man of Hoy. So apart from that, I got it absolutely bang on. All right.
And who was it?
Okay. So this is where the confusion lay. Peter Duncan,
Yes.
he was number 11.
Yeah.
So anyway, when he left Blue Peter in the mid-80s, he got his own show called Duncan Dares.
That's
and
right.
in an episode which was aired on the 15th of May, 1985, according to Wikipedia, at 5:10 in the evening,
Yes.
called Climber. I'm just going to read this. On only his third climb, Peter Duncan tries the Old Man of Stoer, Stoer, which
Wow.
is described as the cousin of the Old Man of Hoy. So it's still in the Orkneys.
Yeah, yeah.
It's only 40 meters shorter than its famous cousin at Hoy. And to get to it involves an icy swim across a channel. So I'm not
That's
doing down
ridiculous.
his Richie's achievement, but did he swim to the Old Man of Hoy? Anyway,
No, he didn't. He
so,
didn't.
so with Everest mountaineer Doug Scott as his guide, Peter climbs up one of the most difficult and beautiful rocks in Britain, which only 20 years ago, which must have been 1965, was considered
Good grief.
unclimbable. But so you can see my confusion. Blue Peter, Old Man of Hoy, but anyway, it wasn't. It wasn't John Noakes.
You knew that some Blue Peter presenter
Climbed
climbed
something.
up some old fella.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Which, I'm not sure those old fellas appreciate it, but you know.
no, but check out Richie's climb. It's on YouTube. You can find it there, and what an impressive fella.
Brilliant. He's absolutely great, and I'm going to head off now to watch some Beyonce and Jay-Z videos. Don't know about you.
Probably not. Before we finish, just lastly and again, if you go to podchaser.com, search for the Gig Stories podcast, and then give us a review and a 5-star rating, and then $1 will go to the World Central Kitchen and their initiative Chefs for Ukraine, which provides hot meals both in cities in Ukraine and also at border crossings in several countries bordering Ukraine. So yeah, do that now.
Please do it.
Do it, and you can do it throughout April. That's when these monies are going to be donated. So yeah, get on it.
We'll mention it on the next episode as well. So we won't say anything else apart from that. Go to Podchaser, find us, give us a review, and maybe search for some new podcasts as well.
Absolutely.
So big thank you to Richie Driss, and a big thank you to my beautiful old birthday boyfriend, Christopher Payne.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you in the next episode. Thanking you. Bye-bye.
See you next time.